الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الناصح الأمين. اللهم صل على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد يا عباد الله. Bila shak wa bila rayb, we are all in need of purifying our souls. From the greatest things that will purify the soul, then bila shak wa bila rayb, undoubtedly and without doubt, then it will be the Quran. The Quran. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says inside of His noble book, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, that Allah has placed a bounty, given a bounty upon those who believe. Ya ibadallah, I beg everyone to pay very close attention and to realize that Allah Jalla wa Ala, He has bestowed upon us a bounty, and it is incumbent that we recognize this fact. Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا, when He sent amongst them a messenger, مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ, from themselves, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ, who He recites upon them His ayat. He recites upon them the ayat of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and He purifies them and teaches them the book and the wisdom. The book and the wisdom. The kitab, al-Quran. وَالْحِكْمَةِ هي السنة, the sunnah. نعم. فأعظم, وقال الشيخ فضيلة الشيخ عبد الرزاق بن شيخ عبد المحسن العباد البدر حفظهم الله تعالى, فأعظم ما تسكو به النفس القرآن الكريم. So the greatest thing in which the soul, it could purify itself by way of and with, then it is the noble Quran. The noble Quran. هو كتاب تزكية, هو كتاب تزكية. The Quran is the book of tazkiyah. It is a book of purification. وَمَنْبَعُهَا وَمَعِينُهَا وَمَصْدَرِهَا. It is the book of tazkiyah. It is the book وَمَصْدَرُهَا. It is the book of tazkiyah. It is the source of the purification. It is the source. It is the spring by way in which the soul is purified. The Quran. فَمَنْ أَرَادَ لِنَفْسِهِ تَزْكِيَةً. So whoever wants for his soul purity, whoever is looking to purify their soul, فَاطْلُبُهَا فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ, then look for it inside of the book of Allah. Ya ibadallah. This is something that we have to understand theoretically, and we have to put it into practice. So practically we have to benefit from this, because as we know, there are those from amongst us who are suffering from ailments, meaning those vices that they are struggling with, grappling with, trying to get over, so on and so forth, and they're struggling. And perhaps they are looking for treatment for these particular things and whatever they're looking for it in. But the question becomes, have you sought the treatment in the Quran? Have you sought for the cure in the Quran? Have you sought to purify your soul by clinging and sticking to the Quran? And if this is the case, and if you are truthful in that which you are saying, then the question has to become, when's the last time you read the Quran? When's the last time you contemplated over the Quran? When's the last time you pondered and you deeply concentrated and contemplated over the ayat of the Quran? When is the last time you sought understanding to understand the Quran? When is the last time you memorized the Quran? When is the last time you acted in accordance to the Quran? وقال ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما ضمن الله لمن اتبع القرآن ألا يضل في الدنيا ولا يشقى في الآخرة. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guaranteed for the one who follows the Quran that he will not go astray in this dunya, nor will they be unhappy and miserable in the akhirah. They will not go astray here in the dunya, and they will not be miserable in the hereafter. ثم تلا, and then he recited, فَمَنْ اتَّبَعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا يَضِلُّ وَلَا يَشْقَى. Then he recited Allah Ta'ala's statement, and whoever follows my guidance, then they will not go astray, nor will they be sad. They will not go astray, nor will they be miserable, will they be saddened. This is for who? This is for the one who he follows the guidance of the Quran. How could we follow the guidance of the Quran if we are unfamiliar with the Quran? How can we follow and implement the guidance in the Quran if we do not read the Quran, if we don't study the Quran, if we don't contemplate and ponder over the meanings of the Quran? How can we put them into practice? How can we follow them? وقال الله تعالى, and Allah Ta'ala, he says, يا أيها الناس قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم. Allah Ta'ala, he says, O human beings, O humanity, verily there has come to you an admonition from your Lord. وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي صُدُورٍ, and there has come a cure for that which ails the chest. There has come a cure for those diseases of the chest, those diseases of the heart. There has come a cure for that which is inside of the chest. وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and there has come a guidance. هُدًى وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, there has come a guidance and a mercy for the believers. A guidance and a mercy for the believers. Where is his guidance? Where is his mercy? Where is this cure? Is where? Inside of the Quran. So those things that will ail our souls, those things in which we seek to purify our souls from them, those contaminants that we seek to purify our souls from, those contaminants and from those polluting factors, then verily that which will remove these contaminants, that which will cleanse us from these polluting factors, then it is the Quran. قال Imam Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, Al-Quran huwa shifa at-tam, that the Quran, it is the complete cure min jami' أدواء القلبية والبدنية, that the Quran, it is a complete cure from all of the diseases of the heart and of the body. All of the diseases of the heart and of the body. What's the cure? The Quran. وأدواء الدنيا والآخرة, and it is a cure for those sicknesses, those diseases that affect our dunya and those diseases that affect our akhirah. What is the cure? Where is the cure? It's inside of the Quran. It's inside of the Quran. Ya ibadullah, when we understand and realize this, this should alter, this should change our relationship with the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. There should not go a day except that we read from the Quran. And not just read from the Quran just to purely read it, but that we seek to understand what we are reading. We seek and we look for guidance therein. We looking for that which will mold and shape and define our lives. That which will be a guidance for us in every aspect of our lives. So we're reading the Quran in order to understand the Quran, understanding it in order to implement it, the Quran. This is incumbent upon us if we are seeking success, if we are seeking to be from those who are successful, those who will never go astray in this dunya, nor will they find misery in the akhirah. Those who will have their pollutants purified and cleansed from them. Those who will have their sicknesses and diseases treated. By way of what? By way of the Quran. So for those who are concerned with the purification of their souls, then know that from the greatest things and greatest factors that will purify the soul, then undoubtedly it is the Quran. هذا أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولجميع المسلمين فاستغفروا فإنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. Ya ibadallah, it is incumbent that we seriously sit down and discuss with ourselves what is our relationship to Allah's book. It is incumbent that we look what is the relationship of our families to Allah's book. And that we understand that the memorization of the Quran is not that which is reserved just to the children. How many of the parents make sure that their children are inside of Quran programs and they'll drop them off, get up early, drop them off, pick them up, so on and so forth. It is not just there for the child to memorize, but you also as an adult should be memorizing in circles that are appropriate for your age. Na'am, in situations that are appropriate. You too should have a concern for the Quran. Every Muslim should have a concern for the Quran. Allah Ta'ala, He says, الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ أُولَئِكَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. Allah Ta'ala, He says what it means. And those who we have given them the book, they يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. They could be understood, recited as it should be recited. These are the ones who believe in it. Also, it could be understood and is understood, and they are those who follow it the way it should be followed. Na'am. Both are understood. Both are understood. Both enter into the meaning of what it means. يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. That they recite it as it should be recited, and they follow it as it should be followed. As both of these enters into the meaning. And we see this meaning of following as the other meaning is more apparent. But we see the meaning of following, which is also apparent for those who have some background in the Arabic language. But we see this inside of Allah Ta'ala's statement. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. And by the sun and its radiance. By the sun and its radiance. وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. And by the qamar when it talaha. So talaha here doesn't mean and by the moon when it recites it. No, it means by the moon when it follows it. When it follows it, the sun. Naam. So we see that this word, it means to also follow. Because this is what is intended, that we follow the Quran. So the Shaykh, he mentions that what is intended by this ayah, that those who we had given them the book and they recite it as it should be recited, they are the ones who believe in it. Meaning that what this means in general, tilawatu kitabullah, that we have to, tilawatu kitabillah, that we have to read the book of Allah. Naam, haqqa tilawati, as it should be read. We have to follow it as it should be followed. Meaning takunu biqira'ah, that we have to read it. وَحِفْظِ it, and we have to memorize it. وَفَهْمِ it, and we have to understand it. وَتَدَبُّرِ it, and we have to contemplate and reflect over it. وَعَمَلُ بِهِ, and we have to act in accordance to it. كَمَا فَسَّرَهُ بِذَلِكَ الصَّحَابَةِ وَالتَّابِعُونَ. Just as the Sahaba and the Tabi'un, they gave tafsir, this is what it means. وَقَالَ Ibn Mas'ud, he mentions so that we understand that it is not just intended that we recite it and memorize it. No. Ibn Mas'ud, he mentioned, he said, كان الرجل منا إذا تعلم 10 آيات لم يجاوزهن حتى يعرف معانيهن وعمل بهن. That there was never a man from amongst us, when he learned 10 verses of the Quran, he will not go beyond that until he knew what it meant, what those verses meant, and he acted in accordance to what was in those verses. That as they memorized 10 ayat, they wouldn't go beyond 10 ayat until they know what is the meaning of those ayat, and acted in accordance to the guidance that was found inside of those ayat. So we understand from this that what? That with the Sahaba, it was not the intention nor the goal just to read the Quran, nor was it the goal just to read and memorize the Quran, but rather it was to what? It was to read, memorize, and act in accordance to the Quran. And in order to do that, then one will have to reflect and ponder over the Quran. One will have to understand the Quran. So all of this is entered into what it means to properly recite the Quran, properly follow the Quran, that we do this. وَقِرَاءَةُ الْقُرْآنِ دُونَ الْفَهْمِ الْمَعَانِي, and to read the Quran without understanding its meaning, أو عدم عمل به, or without acting in accordance to it, لا تعد تلاوة بحق, then this will not equate to reciting it in truth. This will not equate to reciting it in truth. As Fudayl ibn Iyad, he mentioned, he said, إنما نزل القرآن ليعمل به. He said that the Quran has been sent down to act in accordance to it. فَاتَّخَذَ النَّاسُ قِرَاءَتَهُ عَمَلًا. But the people have taken its recitation as labor. The people have taken the recitation of the Quran and equated it to acting in accordance with the Quran. Whereas we know the recitation is something, acting in accordance to it is something else. But if we want to be of those who are truly benefiting from the Quran, truly the people of the Quran, those who follow the Quran as it should be followed, who recite it as it should be recited, then we have to be of those who read it, contemplate over it, understand its meaning, act in accordance to it. وَإِذَا أَكْرَمَ اللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى, the Shaykh, he goes on and he mentions, Shaykh Abdul Razak, حفظه ta'ala, if Allah Ta'ala has blessed his abdahu bitilawati al-Quran, if Allah has blessed his slave and given his slave the tawfiq, the success in reciting the Quran, وتدبره, and reflecting over it, ومجاهدة النفس على عمل به, and fighting his soul in acting in accordance to it, نال من التزكية أوفر نصيب, then he would have taken from the purification, of his soul a tremendous, vast, expansive, outstanding, abundant amount of its portion of purification of the soul. So we are truly concerned with purifying our souls, then know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the purification of the soul will come when one is compliant to the guidance of the Quran. And in order to be compliant to the guidance of the Quran, then we have to have a serious daily relationship with the Quran, so that on a daily basis we read from it, we seek to understand what we are reading, we contemplate over the meanings that are contained therein, so that we may implement and apply that in our day-to-day life. So, ya ibadullah, as we struggle here as Muslims here in this world, as we struggle as Muslims in this world with our day-to-day, then knowing to understand that which will help you, that which will aid you, rather that which will give you success in this day and every day, that which will give you success in this world and in the next, will be the Quran. So stick to it, cling on to it, benefit from it, adorn your life with the guidance of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the Sunnah tufassirul Quran, because the Sunnah gives explanation to the Quran. هذا فاقيم الصلاة.